think for now, what I would just feel more comfortable with is us having the actual dates in the payment. And if we don't feel comfortable talking about a surcharge now, I take that off the table. But at I would say that at some point in the future, we should consider that simply as some kind of a teeth to have somebody who does not pay their bills. Well, a great example is that from last year right now, the city has technically overpaid for Wall Lake as of right now, even if you count this check, $500 more than we should pay for Wall Lake. Well, even if Wall Lake does pay that today, how much interest have I lost over the 6 months that I have not had $2,000 from them, or the actual availability of liquid availability for me to use that out of my general fund to fund other projects in other portions of our city. So,
if you would have a 1% fee on that, and you would, or if we went to taking it out of the capital improvement, whatever that amount is, they should pay the interest on whatever that's invested at right now, I would
and
think.
you can see where that even makes the issue even more messy.
Sure.
Whereas if we just stay with just a strict 1%,
surcharge, yeah,
that would be...
And forget taking it out of the...
Forget taking it out of the capital.
That's why I said we thought about it. We actually looked at it when we started looking at how all the additional paperwork and process we would have to do, that we abandoned that idea as an option.
Yeah, I don't think that makes sense. Does a 1% sound agreeable?
Well, that's a little
Just
stiff.
Okay.
Yeah, 1% surcharge, you know, or per month.
And of course, if you pay your bills on time,
Yeah.
you never have to worry about it.
That's about the standard, isn't it? 1%.
Yeah, that's...
Boy, who was it I just got a note from? Said they were raising it to 2% a month.
Yeah.
Oh, Star Energy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's really not
That's
supposed to
what-
be
yeah,
a way for us to make
yeah.
additional funds. It's supposed to be a deterrent to prevent
Right.
entities from not
I think-
paying on time.
I think it'd be fine with Jackson if it was written in there.
I don't think I'd have a problem with it. Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd say get it in there.
then I will...
The only other thing, I got a question here is, if we're gonna do all this revamping, it's not really gonna, we might have to redo the whole thing if Wall Lake's not gonna participate anymore, cross them off.
Well, like I said, we had that discussion too, but I'm getting checks from them. I mean, it may be last year's money, but I am getting checks from them. So, that is something that the fire board needs to talk about, whether or not,
So we're going to talk about Wall Lake later on.
Where do you want to put that section in then? Let's see, that would fall under...
I will probably put this right next to the weighted, because it's more directly related to your actual portion of your fund. So that will probably become somewhere after the weighted, but right before the, it'll come between number 5 and the 33% discussion.
Okay,
Yeah,
in
about
the
that.
vein of this discussion, how, do you know how do funds get credited to the CIP account? Is that an annual thing? In other words, once a year that fund gets credited to the account, or when you receive a payment, does a portion of it go into your general account for running the fire station and a portion go into
Yes.
the CIP, or how is that done?
That's basically how that works. It is,
So
when we get we know, as you can see here,
Right.
we know how much of it needs to go to each one.
Which one?
Now, granted, if our debt service payment is due before we get your money, we pay it. If and of course long-term capital wouldn't apply, because unless you're spending more than you've got already in the long-term capital, it wouldn't be an issue for us. The only places where that comes an issue is the debt service if we have a bill due prior to the payment, and and of course in the budget if we overspend beyond.
No, I just wondered how that was credited.
It's typically when you make payment.
Okay, so then that, okay.
So you can make an argument that if none of the townships paid till June 30th. And then you wondered where your interest rate was for something. Any of the money you would have paid that year probably didn't draw interest. The
Right,
previous
right.
would have, but that year's would have.
Right. Okay. That
We've
would
already
be-
got that in here, kinda, don't we? The clerks of the townships will promptly readmit the tax claim and city deposit with credit to the fire department account for their share of expenses set forth on a biannual basis
Where'd you find, oh,
when the tax funds are received by each township clerk.
But we don't define deadlines. And that's all we're asking you to do is put in there. We know when you're getting your payments, you get them about the same time we do. And like for instance, there really, let's be quite honest here, there's no justification for us not having the first half of every township right now. It's now mid-January, you got your first half of your taxes in mid-October. You know, there really wouldn't be much of an argument. Now, like you said, Craig, maybe it's been a standard practice and an accepted practice in the past that you guys paid every February. And if that's the expected practice, that's, you know, I can understand that. But
I don't know why it is, it's just,
well, it doesn't seem to make, well, when you say February, to be all honest, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either, because if you look at it from the purposes of when you get your property tax
Right.
checks, February seems to be one of the absolute worst months to pay in, because it's right before you're going to get another one, which is when, of course, your reserves are at the lowest. So,
and we usually have a meeting in January to do budget stuff, and that's when the clerk probably gets in gear to write the check after the meeting. That's probably what's, like you say though, Joe said, like you say, right there is the obvious place to insert
And I
it,
will
just
plug-
kind of
yeah,
expand.
'cause I don't have to
those
add
the
much
dates.
more
Right,
than
just
just dates.
get your dates and 1% thing yet included in that.
in one of these that we redid at one time, where it talks about the budget up above here in the second paragraph, we have here the city of Sac City will send new budget sheets to all townships at least 2 weeks before budget meeting. I can't tell if it's meeting or what is set.
Right. That's basically got included, Craig, on page 3 in that.
Oh, it's on page 3.
Yeah, it's completed budget will be provided to every party of this agreement herein to include all trustees and clerks. In other
and
words,
then they
that
say
would
by
go to-
January 31st, yeah,
Yeah, that's when the budget had to be done.
yeah.
I think I don't know if,
One of the hopes is that after this meeting tonight, I will have it ready for you. That's one of the purposes of tonight's meeting, is to have it set so that we can send it to all your trustees for review.
right, which is basically this information we got.
Correct. That's why we're having this discussion tonight, is so that it can be presented to them by the 31st.
So the completed budget that's provided, is that the accepted budget or is that the proposed budget?
It's the
that is
proposed
set
budget,
out?
because technically we cannot set a budget till it's approved and signed off on in March.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, run that by again.
Our budget has to be filed with the county in March.
By then,
Yes,
yes.
our entire
Approved
budget.
it before that.
But what I'm saying is that the whole budget, this will be part of our entire budget.
I see.
And our entire budget will not be approved and signed off by the county and the state till March.